that's the part where I want to say or explain how to turn Eigen into reality. And this is again not something that I invented. It has been there at all times, and also in the last recent 100 years of holistic therapy, and it's called Eigen therapy. And the only thing you probably know is maybe Eigen-Urine therapy, where you drink your own urine. And Mahatma Gandhi was a great fan of this, and it maybe explains, to me it explains why he had so much power to give and give and give, because he had so much Eigen. Yes? He had so much to give because he was in connection with himself. He had not only a vision, but he would have also the Eigen to present it. That's the basis of charisma. And so charisma is just usually another a word for Eigen. Of course, in America, charisma, the show masters, they are the opposite. They're just presenting what their audience want to hear. But originally, a charismatic theater player or artist was somebody who could represent what he was, because he was what he was. So Eigen-Urine therapy by Mahatma Gandhi. Then another way to reaffirm your Eigen was Eigen blood therapy. You just get your own blood transferred, maybe potentized or maybe not. And now stem cell therapy is another way. In Thailand, it's usually done by extracting fat and then extracting the stem cells from your own fat, and it's apparently not only more human but also more effective than just using embryos. And why embryos? Because in the embryo stage you are only Eigen. There's nothing from the outside. It's the Ur principle. The Ur is also German. It means the original, the most basic, the most essential. That's what you are when you're a fetus. So what people get when they get their some shredded fetus be re-injected, they get some Ur phenomena, they get some Ur principle, they get the Eigen of existence retransferred, and this makes them younger, makes them maybe some what more healthy. But it's the Eigen principle, and of course homeopathy is the Eigen therapy par excellence, but not really understood by most homeopaths, because the similimum principle is the basis of homeopathy. But what's the greatest similimum? It's the Eigen, it's the self. So once you get your own self in a bottle and you can drink this, you have the perfect homeopathy. So sometimes they used some sarcodes, but again sarcodes from other people, or nosodes, diseased cells from other people, to give it back. But usually nobody has ever had, I think, the idea. Use your own saliva, potentize it. Use your own fingernails, potentize it, give it back. It would be very, very powerful, but that's for somebody who wants to make a new step in homeopathy. So, but another way how this was also done was, for example, with EFT, when you tap on a certain part of the body, it's just like reminding you about, here's a body, yes, here's a cell, here's some part of you. And children do it much more simple. They do like something like this, or you see Napoleon, he was always doing like this. So he always had a connection to himself. Again, was very powerful because of this. We can use all kinds of stimuli for our senses to reconfirm our connection, our feedback with ourselves. And this is my understanding why acupuncture works, why hot and cold showers work, why exercise it, make you aware of your body, about your breath, about your heartbeat, fragrances, colors, tastes, why they all work to reaffirm your sense of self. So in America, when you always eat McDonald's, you know exactly how it tastes. You don't have to taste it anymore. You know how it tastes, so you will not experience it anymore, and so you will not experience yourself. That's the real danger of these fast foods. And then, how do we do it if we don't get it in the natural, the healthy way? I think this is a healthy way. But what do people get done by their parents? Don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. That's a healthy way. That's what we have learned to do, even as you see below. In the uterus, you have your thumb in your mouth for 9 months, almost all the time, but then you're not allowed to do it anymore. So what you do, you put a cigarette in your mouth, yes, or if this is not even enough, to make yourself feel yourself, have this reconnection, or at least have an alternative reconnection, like with cigarettes. You mutilate yourself, like here. You do extreme fasting, you do extreme sports, you do extreme forms of um, exercise to reconfirm your existence, your sense of self, yes. And then if this, you don't have the courage for this, or you don't have the energy for this, you try to do it with some kind of external appearance of books and money and possessions and status symbols and titles and book learning. So that's all about signs of not sufficient eigen resonance. And then in our world it's really more and more difficult, because we have not only a physical sense of self, we have also an energetic sense of self. All our nerves and all our cells are sending impulses in our body. Is a complex energy field that is our eigen. This is our self. That's our sense of self. Yes. But now in our world, there's all kinds of radio signals around us, all kinds of EMF radiation around us that disturbs this. So here, what we have here is a recording with the biolaser from a normal body. Here, even on the island of Bella myself, where there's not so much radiation, and you see the first one is what you see. Actually, that's all the nonsense, the noise that you have in your body electrically. And then if you take out all the 50-60 hertz from our utility, you still have noise there, and only if you take this out again, make another noise filter, then what you see below is the heart. That's one of the key eigen frequencies of yourself, but that's not the only one. There's a much more complex system of frequencies that are not in the books, and what you see below is just the filtered extraction of normal EEG or ECG systems that filter out this pattern, because this is what in the books, but really we are much more complex energy systems than this. And in the brain it's obvious, but also the more stronger signals from tissues and muscles that are all called artifacts. You see, in EEG and ECG, this is all called artifacts. We have to get this out. This is just not real. This is not something we have to see, to focus on. So all this is forgotten, and then you come to this position that the science has no problem to legalize something like the smart meter now, that sends microwave radiation over hundreds of kilometers and ping pongs between different meters, and so it's completely out of control. Not even like cell phone radiation. All this back communication of the smart meters with the power station could be done with cell phone, but at the time when this was developed, cell phone was not as easily available. So they used the most cheapest way, that's microwave radiation. And then below you see here a overview of childhood leukemia around the Sutro Tower in San Francisco is 18 times higher, closer to the tower than far away. And what science has to say about this, as long, and this is the funniest statements I've so far read. I mean, it's not funny, it's actually very, very sad and serious. This is the basics for the FCC-RF standard regulations that says when do you have to consider RF, or radio frequency, to be dangerous. Only when you are close to it and when it raises your body temperature more than 1 degree, then you have to be starting to be concerned. So imagine, so as long as you don't feel or seem something smelling burnt, you are fine around radiation. This is the idea that science, of course, most of it is paid science by those who want to sell this technology. But this is the kind of science that is based on 100 years ago, when really there was not much understanding of the energetic eigen field of the human body. And so you have to imagine, we can be lucky we are still able to operate and live, but we should not be surprised that we have so much depression, overactivity, attention deficit, nervousness, and all the neurological diseases that are taking over. And then eventually, if they cannot make us move, cannot make us change our place of living, then it turns into cancer. Very simple. So this is another form of threat for our eigen resonance. So one more part on what's the spiritual component of all this, I'll give you in a moment.